This crowd to its feet. Popped up. Mora is under it. He'll make the catch, and the playoffs are coming back to the beach.
Playoffs? Yeah, we're talking about playoffs in June. That's right, Myrtle Beach. Absolutely dominant. You see right there, Birds are hot, Birds are champs, Birds are headed to the playoffs. But don't take my word for it. Play-by-play man for the Pels, Sam Weiderhaft. He's catching up with our guy Lance.
Cole, thank you so much. And what better way to recap the first half of the Myrtle Beach Pelican season than by bringing in Sam Weiderhaft, the broadcaster who's been with the team for a bit. You're entering your third season now, Sam, with the organization, with the Cubs. I imagine it's been a ton of fun. I got to imagine, man, that call of yours, clinching the first half, Carolina League South Division champions, it was really good. We were talking about it in the studio. Everyone loved it. As a broadcaster, you know that moment's coming up. Do you prep for it at all?
Well, I definitely had thought about it for a little bit, but just didn't think that we'd be in this situation in the first place. It was a tough start to the year. They started off 17-19 and then just went on this huge run. You know, we win 21 games in your next 27, and then just propel yourself up to the top. But you know, lucky it was a good game. The Pelicans had a big bottom of the sixth that kind of pushed them in the lead, and ended up being an 8-2 win. But that kind of gave me some time to think about what that moment was going to be like, and what I was going to be able to say. So they kind of teed me up perfectly, and just it was a great moment out there.
Was there a point this season where you thought this team had a chance to win the first half?
Yeah, I mean, it not until recently, because it was a slow start for this group to kind of get going. The bullpen was, struggling in that beginning part of the year. The bats weren't really coming together, but we go to Fayetteville at the end of May and sweep the Woodpeckers there in 6 games. And after that, this group really just kind of put things together and started playing as a team. The starting pitching put together some really good performances. The bats came alive, and you could see this team just come together more and more as the games went on. And now it's a first half championship and going back to the playoffs. So just a really cool moment on Sunday night, and looking forward to seeing how this team kind of progresses now in the second half.
Absolutely. There's 2 guys on this team that immediately got called up to South Bend after they clinched the first half. Moises Ballesteros is a catcher, and Felix Stevens. I want to focus on Ballesteros. He's a name that I know internally you're starting to see pop on some prospect lists. He walked more than he struck out. He's a catcher. He's a big-bodied guy. He was a huge kind of force in that lineup, continually getting on base and providing slug. What did you love about calling games where he was on the field most?
I mean, there's not much to not love about Moises Ballesteros. I mean, he's such a solid player at 19 years old, so mature at the plate, just great knowledge of the strike zone. Like you say, Lance, walked more than he struck out. He put together some really, really good at-bats. And I think the thing that really impressed me the most was how many 4-pitch walks he took. Pitchers really respecting the kind of power that Ballesteros has, and just a really complete player that I'm really excited to see what he can do up at the next level.
And one of the most exciting pitchers that he caught on Myrtle Beach is Jackson Ferris, the 2022 second rounder from IMG Academy. He's a lefty. Whenever I watch him, I think of Barry Zito. I can't get that out of my head. But you watching him from the booth continually, what stuck out about him?
Well, I mean, just, again, 19 years old, the maturity out on the mound, the mindset that he has, his mentality, I think is all very impressive. But, he gets out there his very first start against Columbia, what you're watching right now, and he strikes out 7 of the first 10 batters he faces in his first professional start. Right from there, you kind of knew his name, and he just kind of popped up around everywhere. But fastball 94, 95, touching 97, a 12-6 curveball that he's able to drop in, just has great command on the mound. And at 19 years old, he's really overpowering some much older hitters, which I think is really impressive.
One of the key infield pieces on that team down there, Jefferson Rose got called up, but I want to talk about Christian Hernandez, who's obviously the international signing from the 2021 signing period. They paid a ton of money for him. The impact of his bat, I think, is one of those things where you can dream on it, right? You can look a couple years down the road and really see some huge upside. He strikes out a bit, but he was getting on base and playing really, really good defense. Is there a particular part of his game that you think, is going to soar over the next year or so?
Well, I really like his defense. He's got a great arm at short. It's just made some incredible throws that you don't see 19-year-olds make over at short. Got a great start at the plate this year, and then, he had the month of May that he was just didn't really perform like he was in that first month, but that's kind of coming back. And like you say, Lance, there's a lot to dream on with that bat. So if he can get that together, cut down that strikeout rate, and just make better contact, he'll be a really fun player to watch in the next few years.
Brody McCullough is another arm on this team, 2.09 ERA and 11 starts. He's a guy that I don't think a lot of Cubs fans know. He's not really on many prospect lists. He's a 10th rounder from Wingate University. Did you talk to him at all about going into that clinching game? Was he nervous?
Brody never gets nervous, man. He is a dog out there. Like, he just is locked in from the start. You see him at the first inning, and he's just going about 5 innings every single start he goes out there. But there's no chance he was nervous. I mean, just locked in from the very beginning. And I think the best part about Brody is he just knows how to pitch. You look at his numbers all the way from Wingate to where he's at now in Single A, and the walkout to strikeout ratio is just absurd. I mean, it's super rare to see a Brody McCullough walk. So he was the perfect guy to have out there for the clinching game because you can always rely on him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a guy that I think will probably come up to South Bend pretty soon, I hope. And hopefully, if he's better competition, we'll be seeing a ton of him closer here in Chicago. Sam Weiderhaft, we appreciate you joining us. The Birds are hot, man. Hopefully, they continue it in the second half.
Birds are hot. Thanks, Lance.